It's been ages since we've been a gallant space commander leading a ragtag band of heroes in a state of the 22nd century art spaceship to save the galaxy from total annihilation by an ancient threat, and we think it's about time we were that again rather than boring ordinary us. The only thing we've vanquished triumphantly with 0 casualties recently is the washing up. Mass Effect Andromeda should fix that sometime in the early part of 2017. There are plenty of rumours swirling around, but not much has been officially revealed, beyond a Wild West frontier vibe and the fact that it takes place in the far-off galaxy of Andromeda, a long time after the events of Mass Effect 3. The rumour is you play as a character called Ryder, who is part of a colonising mission to find a suitable new planet for humanity to settle. Too many bad memories in the Milky Way, presumably. And though no doubt we'll adore it because it's more Mass Effect, there are a few things we don't want in Mass Effect Andromeda. 7 things, in fact. Here are 7 things we don't want in Mass Effect Andromeda. Oh, and beware of spoilers for all the Mass Effect games. As you might have cleverly deduced from the title, the next Mass Effect game is set in a new galaxy, Andromeda, instead of the Milky Way from the first trilogy. What you might not realise is those two galaxies are a really long way apart, like 2.5 million light years apart. That suggests we won't be visiting any of the places we went to in the last trilogy, which makes us a bit sad. We might not even be meeting the same alien races as we did in the previous games. What if we don't find any that, by impossible coincidence, are shaped exactly like sexy human ladies? What then?
Why do I feel so close to you?
Oh, who am I kidding? This is Mass Effect. Everything's shaped like a sexy human lady.
Is there a particular topic you wish to discuss, Shepard?
The point stands, though, that there may not be much that's familiar about the galaxy that Mass Effect Andromeda takes place in. The mass relays were only built for transport within the Milky Way galaxy, so it's not clear how the Andromeda team even gets to Andromeda. If it's some new top-secret, hyper-powerful mass relay, then maybe we'll see a few more familiar faces, but if it's a good old-fashioned cryosleep job, then things could feel very alien indeed. Rumour has it we'll be accompanied by characters from familiar races on our search for a new homeworld, but will it still feel like the Mass Effect we know and love without a society full of Turians, Asari, Solarians, and Krogans? The tiny ray of hope is that apparently, in real life, the Andromeda galaxy is hurtling towards our own Milky Way at 68 miles per second. So if they just set Mass Effect Andromeda a few billion years in the future, it'll be a short hop over to lovely Ilium to see how our Asari chums are getting on. You can't argue there's not enough to do in Mass Effect games. Just look at our mission list from Mass Effect 3, it is rammed with stuff. The only problem is most of these things aren't real missions, they're errands where you have to fly to some far-flung corner of the galaxy and deliver some junk to some jerk.
We're stuck, and I can't think of anything beyond what we've already tried.
I know, but I can't think of anything else. Can you?
And if you don't do them, you're in danger of getting an ending that's more of a disappointment than a double date with the Verners.
Conrad, do you even have a wife?
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, no.
Take this bit in Mass Effect 3 where we found out we were finally going to visit the Elcor homeworld and see firsthand how this proud, stoic species lives in its natural habitat. Brilliant. Essentially, our ending should be based on big decisions we made and missions we undertook, like in Mass Effect 1, not based on whether we probed a bunch of uncharted planets or thought to spend our cash on a new set of guns for our spaceship. And no, this one bum joke doesn't make up for it.
Really, Commander?
While we're on the subject of tedious grinding, you know, microtransactions get a bad rap, and that's because they're officially the worst thing in the world since smallpox was eradicated in 1980. Microtransactions are particularly bad when they take advantage of our deep and lasting bond with the crew of the Normandy and use it to try and flog us imaginary things for very real money. That's exactly what happened in Mass Effect 3's multiplayer mode. Multiplayer was how you built up your galactic readiness, which contributed towards getting the best ending in the single-player game. Worse still, that galactic readiness reduced by 1% back to its baseline of 50 for every day you don't play a round of multiplayer. I've met cold-calling insurance salesmen who are less pushy. Either give us a meaningful co-op component that stands on its own in Mass Effect Andromeda, or don't bother at all. Don't use it as a way to push microtransactions with the threat of a bad ending in the single-player game as the motivation to get involved. Not least because it's a ruddy nightmare trying to find a full squad to play a Mass Effect 3 multiplayer match with these days. Sorry all of humanity, the galaxy was doomed by the fact I got bored waiting for matchmaking and played something else. Still, it did let us achieve our lifelong ambition to waddle around as a Volus. Every cloud. One thing we know for sure about Mass Effect Andromeda is that we won't be playing as Shepard, and much as it pains us to say it, we don't want to see Shep in the game at all, not even a little cameo. Just look at how the same situation was handled in Dragon Age Inquisition. If you originally played Dragon Age 2 on Xbox 360 and bought Inquisition on Xbox One, in order to facilitate an appearance from Hawk, you had to go to a website called The Keep and answer a lengthy quiz about all the things you did in the previous game. And in a universe full of weird fantasy names, it can be difficult to remember whether it was Ruxton Harriman or Renville Harrowmont who we accidentally wandered in on that one time.
Use the feather.
We'll just call you Ruxville Harriman and politely leave, if that's okay with you? The same problem would apply to 3 games worth of Shepard adventures. It seems unlikely that save transfer is an option between previous and current gen consoles, and unless it's our exact Shep, it's no Shep at all. So instead, if we're not playing as them, we'd prefer Shep was a mythical, legendary figure, sort of like how Darth Revan is referenced in KOTOR 2.
We will not fail you, Master.
Better that than spending an hour trying to remember every single person you renegade punched in the face.
Admiral, you jeopardized your mission and your people. Get the hell off my ship.
I lost count at about 12. It's easy to forget the vibe of the original Mass Effect was less apocalyptic, more universe building. Yes, bad stuff was happening, but it was happening at a slow enough pace that we didn't feel anxious and guilty every time we embarked on a trivial side quest. We had time to stop and smell the space roses. In Mass Effect 2, the series ratcheted up the pressure and for the first time introduced the stress of putting beloved members of your squad in mortal peril.
Oh, shit!
Alright, there was that pivotal moment in the original Mass Effect with Cayde and Alenko, but I think the fact that I chose to save actual space racist Ashley over the headache guy says it all.
Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches.
This is the future. I'm sure we have aspirin. By Mass Effect 3, you're launched into a full-scale interstellar war. Billions are dying, entire planets are being raised of life, and you've got to somehow single-handedly save the galaxy and still find time to knock boots with your favourite romanceable character. It's one of the reasons the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3 was so successful. It was the one bit of genuine downtime in that whole game.
Shepard is saving the galaxy. You have to forgive a few eccentricities.
With the start of what will presumably be the Andromeda trilogy, there's an opportunity to build to a crescendo again over the course of multiple games. Not to say we don't want it to feel like the stakes are high by the end of this first game, we just want time to really get a feel for this brand new galaxy. It looks like a version of Mass Effect's MAKO tank returns in Andromeda to explore these strange new worlds. On behalf of every Mass Effect fan on this planet and beyond, BioWare, please don't let driving it be like wrestling with a busted shopping trolley in microgravity again. I get that it has to be versatile and rugged enough to function on varied terrain and in varied levels of gravity, but is that why it's just slightly rubbish in all conditions? Rumour has it we'll be able to customise the MAKO to our particular explorational tastes. I'm going to start by swapping out the suspension for something that isn't made of blancmange, and maybe adding a spoiler, some sweet racing stripes, ooh, and underlighting. Speaking of... Given that the theme of Andromeda seems to be forging a path into new, unexplored space, how about giving us some interesting planets to explore with our new MAKO? None of this generic terrain with a single remote outpost full of bored mercenaries that we saw in Mass Effect 1. Man, I hope those guys brought some good reading material. One of the best things about large-scale RPGs is stumbling across an out-of-the-way side quest that feels unique to your particular playthrough. That's why people play the Elder Scrolls and Fallout games for hundreds of hours. With a whole galaxy to play with, there's plenty of space, literally, to tuck away some fully realised open-world planets with small settlements and story-based side quests. It's not like we're asking for Planet of the romanceable characters or anything, just somewhere a bit more interesting than this. At this point, I'd actually welcome a Thresher Maw attack. At least it'd give me something to do. Those were the 7 things we don't want to see in Mass Effect Andromeda. Do you agree? Disagree? What do you want in Andromeda, and what things do you think would make even less sense than Blasto the Hanar Spectre?
This one is the hero of the Citadel.
Let us know in the comments. Please do like and subscribe for more on Mass Effect Andromeda, and we'll see you next time on Outside Xbox.
Prepare.
This one is the hero of the Citadel.